Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Theorycrafting Thursday. More importantly, this is actually, normally it's Theorycrafting Thursday, but this week it is actually the Mafia Land podcast because, oh boy, or the town, what would it be, Town Thursdays? That's what it would be.
Yeah, I mean, they both have T's, so that's like, by definition, alliteration, but the sounds don't really match up.
Nice, yeah. I should have prepared some long joke to or some long intro, but I didn't do that. But
yeah,
anyway,
you fucked
if
up
you're
the Dragon Day, you're fucking up this one. This is just not a good week for you, dude.
They like me for my organic statements. I don't pre-prepare. I'm
And your
not
looks.
a politician, and of course, I mean that's a given. But I normally talk about our state of affairs, our last week in Dota, and of course we will end up doing that. But I think we should talk about the Mafia Land. I know I've been feeding it. Me, Fafnir, and various other .p Twitter folk have been just feeding the whole thing, talking about it constantly. And I've watched literally every game. I know, Proud, you're getting caught up.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit in VODs. I watched one game last night as I was going to bed, and I watched one that was playing today when I woke up. And all I know so far is Slacks lived up to the not hype, but I guess negative hype, and Gurg is Gurg, and everything that I know about a person, which is very little because I never really met these people, but it does come out in Mafia about as you would expect.
Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting. I can't speak highly enough of the Mafia Land. If you don't know what the Mafia is, it's like a social game basically. It's kind of like Werewolf, or friend of the show Ginga K brought up the Korean game Deutery.
Of course.
But of course, as everybody knows. I'm sure I butchered the name too, but that's how it was spelled. Anyway, it's like a social game where they take 15 people and a moderator gives out cards, and 3 of them are mafiosos who have to survive and convince the town that they are towns members, and their goal is to kill enough towns members or cause the deaths of towns members until they get to a point where they win the game. And then there's also a cop who can check people, and there's a medic who can save people, and it's very exciting. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. It's really just a conversation game. It's a game of information, and it's a game of just it's a very emotional game. It's very exciting. People are yelling. People are just one of the games today. Conrad Quantum Pope on Twitter. He was the former manager of C9. I like him a lot. He's one of the more minor members. You have quite a few notable people at the Mafia Land, even people that have been on .p coincidentally, like LD and Gods. But it's very exciting, and Conrad and Slacks were just yelling at each other, and Conrad was just going in on Slacks, and
that was the game I saw, and it was just holy fuck, this is so sad.
It's cool.
You're on the same team, but you want to kill each other, and you don't know it.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and I can honestly say some of the sickest plays in all of esports that I've seen, when you're watching the $6 million Echo Slam, or the the $1 million Dream Coil, the 3 million. I don't know.
Whatever.
Those plays are sick and all. Yeah, those plays are sick and all. But watching our Lord and Savior, the F God Fwashi, or just Fwash rather, make the sickest play I've ever seen on the first day. If you haven't seen it, you should watch the first game of Mafia. But the F God cometh and she taketh away. And boy, it's just so exciting. I love Mafia, and it's not for everybody. Some people have complained, some people aren't super into it, but I love it. It's a very raw, emotional game, and I'm just thrilled with Mafia Land. I hope there's more. And we won't talk. Honestly, I could do a whole podcast on the Mafia Land.
Yeah, I can get that.
We should probably do a little theory crafting Thursday.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. All right. So I guess before that, we can do our regular state of affairs.
Sure.
I know I have gained a little bit of party MMR, as usual. I play almost entirely unranked, so my solo didn't go up, but I'm at 4283 solo and 4498 party. So, getting up there, 4500 is a very close mark. This is actually my personal high for party MMR, and I've been on quite the winning streak. Honestly, I would say by my own fault. I've been really happy with my own play recently. And maybe that's maybe I'm a little biased because I do like myself a lot, but I've had a lot of good games, and I've not been making as many dumb mistakes as I mean, I haven't been making dumb mistakes, which is nice as like a little personal reflection, because I mean, that's the way you improve, right? You have to notice your own mistakes. And so I've been pretty happy with
I think that's what
myself.
they say.
How about you? I've also
I'm about like roughly the opposite. I'm at 44, 28 solo, 42, 62 party. I haven't really played since last week that much. Flew back to Southern California from Maryland. I really didn't play while I was in Maryland at all because I don't really have my full setup. But getting back into it, so I had my first real game of Dota yesterday, session of Dota. Gained some party MMR, lost a little bit of solo. I was close to getting back to the 45, so I feel like I got out of that terrible trench that I've been in for about 3 weeks that I dug myself
nice.
into. So I'm getting out of that. Lone Druid is still my favorite thing. Playing a lot of Dragon Knight, playing a little bit of Clinks. I was experimenting with Medusa for a little bit. And I had one really good game on Medusa where we just kind of like won quickly. And then I had another one where it was like 86 minutes, and it was like we had Techies, Medusa, Pudge, and Venge. So like,
Nice.
and so they never wanted to go into our base at all because it's a techies game, and like even after the nerfs, it's still techies. So like they would start to siege, and they would just get like hooked and swapped into our base and die. So it eventually got to the point the only time they would ever attack us is when I farmed up a rapier and then like died while split pushing or something. Like they would like smoke every 5 minutes to kill me while I was split pushing. Like I would die, they would get a rapier, and then like go to our high ground, feed 4 kills, give us a rapier back, and then we'd take our lane of Rex. And like that just like the only way we won. Like it got to the point where I was just like trying to die with rapiers so that they would push our base then die, and then we'd have like a Pudge with 2 rapiers take a Rax. So that's been my week basically. That whole game was most of my week.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any 80 game that is going to be that taxing will definitely eclipse other games. Yeah, I actually like Medusa. A lot of people don't like this hero. They're like, oh, it's so boring. Like she doesn't do anything until 45 minutes. But I think she's fun, and I'm happy that she got some interesting buffs where like it's not. I'm trying to think of the way to word it. It's like not necessarily side buffs, but like it's not
No,
just straight.
they're big. They're big, honestly. Like
Yeah.
the amount of mana steal you get with your W now is like insane. Like early game, it's
Yeah.
good. Like I run people out of mana now when I lane against them as Medusa. Like there's not an
Oh yeah.
off laner that I'm afraid of. Like I was against like Medusa against like Windrunner, and like Windrunner's pretty hard for most carries to deal with solo. But like I fucked her up. Like Medusa, you don't fuck with that hero. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm a big fan.
and I like her early
Yeah.
team fighting and shit too. Like I don't know the idea that she can't really she doesn't do damage until late game, but like she's a fucking badass tank, and you press R in the team fight, like the entire like momentum of the team fight. People just have to stop what they're doing. It's like a Phoenix ulti, only you can't kill it in 2 hits.
Ideally, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I phrase it like it's a side grade because it's more like a rework to the skill.
Sure.
It's not like a direct buff, right? Or like
Yeah,
a direct
yeah,
buff would be like Medusa gets +1 agi scaling or something. It's
yeah.
very
Yeah.
like interesting, and
Okay.
especially when you phrase her change in the context of the like increase in intelligence heroes that are like hardcore cores. Like Zeus is super popular now, partially because of the Arcana, partially because he's a good hero. And so it's one of those buffs where like it works off of other heroes, and it also
Okay.
works for the own hero. So I like Medusa. Um, I haven't had any specific games that are too interesting. I had a really good AM game the other day, but most of my AM games are pretty good if we're being honest. I haven't actually spammed any heroes. Like I play a lot of Kunkka, but that has not changed and does not seem to change anytime soon.
It's good to know.
But yeah, so I've just been enjoying myself, taking Dota a little, not casually, but I'm just kind of hanging out, playing, hopefully winning, and otherwise, you know. So hopefully we'll win today, because today's combination that we're going to be running is 2 heroes that I know you really like one of them, and I really like the one I'll be playing. We're running Sven Silencer, lane undecided, but it really works on either, and I'm really excited for this. I play a ton of Silencer. I carried a game so hard yesterday. I had a 3-stack. I solo queued at like midnight last night. I was like, all right, I'll play one game, and then it was one of those games where like within 5 minutes I muted literally everybody because I was like, this is so like toxic. It was a 3-stack on each team, and both of the 3 stacks were just so obnoxious, and I was just like, I don't need this in my life. I'm just gonna play my game. I ignored literally everybody, which is not always a good tactic. And like we had a Pudge that missed every hook, and then he was trolling us and he was hooking his teammates, so I reported him.
Right.
But then like I rolled this game. It was so good. I had like plus 70 int or something by the end of it. It was like a 50-minute game. It was nice, but I love Silencer, and I was playing him as a core at that time. Normally, I play him as a support. Again, bring up Fafnir. Fafnir and I both are strong believers in the Silencer support. Sometimes even I play him because he's a greedy support, right? Like people have the we've talked about it before, so I won't harp on it. But people have the interpretation that supports is like a lower position that has lower game impact, and Silencer is a perfect example of like you can support well in the early game, and then you can transition into like just a straight up core into the mid to late game if you like do well enough. And I
love heroes like that. The ones that like it's like once they get to late game, they can transition really well. It's just very, very rare for those heroes to like also be good supports. And I feel like that's kind of what you get with Silencer, because he's really strong at supporting in some aspects, but really weak in others. Like if you're against like I don't know, if you need to like lock down a puck outside of global silence, like it's not super strong. Like I don't know. There's a lot of heroes that I would like way rather have like a lion than a Silencer. So like you need to pair him with like an Earthshaker or someone else with a lot of control. But then you don't have a defensive support, so it's like he's definitely really strong, but he doesn't fit into every support lineup.
That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, you definitely phrased it perfectly, and that's the big reason why he's not picked as much as a core, and or a support for that matter. It's just because like he's not very mobile, and you pretty much have to build mobility items and like anti-mobility items for your enemies. Like a lot of times you go Atos, Scythe. But yeah, I mean, really like you could just get kited. And people just run away from you. And like, yeah, sure, you have the slow from Last Word, but that slow is like a 25% slow, and it only lasts 5 seconds or less, actually.
It's nothing crazy.
Yeah, he's definitely not your lion or your whatever other support with a stun. Pick from the many. But that said, he does definitely like global silence in and of itself is a game changing ability. Silencer is one of those heroes where like you see a Silencer and it just can potentially ruin like your entire team comp. You're just like, boy, we have all this team fight that we need to coordinate, and it's like, well, if our Tide doesn't blink Ravage when the Silencer isn't paying attention, like we just freaking lost. Yeah. So I really like the hero, and of course Sven is going to be our pairing. You're the Sven devotee among us.
Yeah, I'm actually every time I look at it, I'm like, I actually play a pretty good amount of Sven. I don't have an obscene amount of games. I have like 55, but I've got like a 64 win rate on them. And he's not a hero that I pick, every day, but it's like maybe once a week I'll play one Sven game, and it's almost always going to be a win for one reason or another. He's just like a pretty reliable hero in the right situation. And if you can ever get to that point where you just press R and then you get a Daedalus and cleave someone the fuck out, like that's a team wipe potentially. It's a really satisfying hero once you actually get it going.
Yeah, I definitely think reliable is the term I would use to describe him, just because he's so like consistent and just like he offers nothing like super weird, I guess I'd say, but he's just like always like he has his cleave. He's gonna punch you. It's gonna do a lot of damage, and he's gonna have a ton of armor. And every once in a while, he's gonna throw out a stun. It's very consistent and irregular. And so I like the hero. Honestly, I don't play him. I know Tryhard Tuesday host Wazoo is of course a graduate of Lycan Svenniger College, and he's a big time Sven player. And I like having Sven on my team. I know when we were first talking about what combo to do today, and you brought up Sven, I briefly brought up, but I wanted to save it for the podcast, of course.
Yeah.
I played in a tournament with our good buddy Skrunk, who we may or may not be seeing on Defense of the Patience in the future. I played in a tournament with him and a bunch of his like 5.5k plus friends.
Yeah.
Because they needed like a 5, and somehow I got called into that one.
That was for I always have an issue saying this. I think it's SES now. It used to be SECS or SCSC, and we just called it sex. Like, do you want to come have sex on Sunday? Because it's a weekly tournament that happens every Sunday, and it's really fun. If you ever want to play a casual tournament, you just queue up with 5 people and you're good. But yeah, anyway, go on.
Yeah, it was a good time. That said, like they were all like, I mean, Skrunk is like high 4Ks, and then all of the other guys in the stack were like 5.5K plus. And like you said, it was a casual tournament, so it wasn't a big deal. They picked me Oracle because I was like, I made the mistake. I was like, yeah, I know how to play Oracle because like I used to play a lot of Oracle, but I haven't played him recently. But I did fine. Anyway, that's not the point. We lost the game super hard, and not because of my play, not because of anybody's specific play. But because the opponent ran this crazy good Sven strat, and I was dumbfounded. Actually, I should find the game right now. It was really cool what they ran. Their team was Witch Doctor, Viper, Earth Spirit, Darkseer, Sven.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It was like, it's rare that like you have a game. I mean, hopefully, in an ideal world, it's rare you have a game where you're just like, boy, I just got so dominated, like I'm in physical pain. And this was one of those games where all they did was they picked 4 early game heroes, and what they did was Darkseer was a nuisance to the offlane, even though I was playing Oracle, which is a good counter to Darkseer. And then the Viper, of course, Viper's like the early to mid game dominator mid.
Yeah, he's a fucking terror.
So basically, they just got like an early mech on Darkseer, and what the Witch Doctor and Earth Spirit did was pretty much nothing except stack. So what they did was Sven maxed Cleave first, and then he just went to his jungle and he went Helm of the Dominator. He went it was Treads, Helm of the Dominator, and then it was Treads, Helm of the Dominator, Sage and Yasha, Blink, or Blink, Sage and Yasha.
Yeah.
And he just went around and he just took all the stacks, and then he had his Dominator really early because he had solid lane supports, so he was just stacking Ancients. So he like ballooned, and he was like potentially 7 slotted by like 35 minutes easily if the game continued to that point.
Jesus.
And it was just like they got a mech, they got a Sven. Sven had all the plus armor, and like we had a really hard time ganking him. We never killed him because he would just stormbolt us and run away with his armor, and we just got brutalized. And so yeah, they just like had all this armor, they had mech, and they had blinks on their Darkseer and Sven, and they just like ran us down. And like they just took objectives, and we could do nothing. And it was so dominant. Like honestly, it was one of those games where I played and I'm like, boy, if I wanted to just abuse the party MMR system, it would be so easy. Like these 5 people could just pick this strat probably for like 10 games straight and not lose a single time. Maybe they'll lose like 1 or 2 games just out of sheer like luck, or maybe they get a really bad matchup. But it was just wild. It was crazy good. And it really showed the strength of Sven and the cleave maxing thing, which is not common at all. Or I shouldn't say not at all. What do you like on Sven? Some people do the max cleave.
I have a lot of feelings about this. I am normally of the camp where I'm like, yo, max your fucking nuke, you goddamn idiot. What the fuck? Like that's like where do you think your damage is gonna come from? Your fucking 325 damage AoE stun, you fucking idiot. But at the same time, if you have like 7 stacks in the jungle, like Great Cleave is also pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then Warcry is also like a really fucking good skill. Like it goes from 5 to 10 armor and then to 15 to 20. But normally where I sit on Sven, obviously you don't level Great Cleave while you're laning because, it's kind of, you don't want to push the wave. Fucking big surprise. And then the Stormhare is where you're going to get your kills from. And Warcry, I feel like, is really good from levels 1 to 2. And then early game, you're not super afraid of magic damage and physical of physical damage, and it's normally the magic that fucks you up super hardcore. So it's important to get farm. It's important to be able to be threatening with your Stormhammer, and Great Cleave is good for farming. So in general, I'm like max Stormhammer, get 2 points in Warcry, and then as soon as it looks like you're going to start jungling within the next 2 minutes, make sure you have at least 1 point in Great Cleave. Great Cleave is one of those like really hardcore value points because it's 30% cleave on level 1, and then it goes up by like 12 afterwards. So it's not even like it goes up by half. It's like really, really like hardly more than a third.
Yeah.
So I like the 1 point in Great Cleave, and then have Stormhammer maxed and Warcry at 2, and then you just max Great Cleave after that and keep Warcry at 2. So that's normally how I do it. I know that it's meta, and like anytime I hear Eternal Envy say something, I have to give it a lot of credit and really think about it. Because like most people leave Stormhammer at 2 and then max cleave afterwards, and I know that there has to be a good amount of truth to that. So lately I've been trying getting Stormhammer at like 3. Because I feel like the difference between like doing a 175 damage nuke and a 250 damage nuke is like very often going to be the difference between a kill and not a kill. But if I was never going to kill anyone and I was so sure of it that I could wait like 5 levels to have like a relevant damage come out of my Stormhammer, I guess you could max Great Cleave. But overall, I think Stormhammer to max, 2 in Warcry, max Cleave after that.
Yeah, I haven't watched the replay of this game. I just I almost don't want to, but
Yeah,
I was actually thinking when you're talking about like the potential to just like save points, and then if you get your like 1-1-1, and then by the time you're level 7, you don't want to mess up your equilibrium too much. So I mean, I guess you'd already be messing up with level 1 cleave,
well,
but
yeah, we'll say
it'd be interesting to just save like 4 points and then just be like, all right, I'm going to jungle now, and then you just tap your level up key and tap W 4 times,
yeah.
and that way you can save your equilibrium without not leveling cleave,
Sure.
if that's what your build is going to be.
The hero
That's
that I see that on most a lot is like Luna, because Luna it's not as much of a decision between like you're always going to max Lucent Beam, but you have to decide between like, do I want my auto attacks to bounce, or do I want them to do slightly more damage? And it's like if you invest in the more damage and then you start jungling and you only have like 1 point, or you got God forbid fucking like 0 points in your glaives, you're fucked.
yeah.
So like normally it's like, okay, you get like 3 in Q, 2 in E, and then like hold your points after that, and then like once you're 7 you get another Q. But if you're still laning at like level 8 and you level up again, like you're not gonna put another point in E, because then it's gonna be forever until your glaives are like relatively useful.
Yeah.
So you'll hold a point, or maybe you don't even get the second point in E. Who knows? But yeah, I think there's a lot of value to that. Like if you're just alone in your lane, and then someone shows that like 3 people show up that you're not going to be able to kill, and you need to go jungle after that. Like I can see like you held 2 points from your stun, and you just like drop 2 and cleave real quick, take out a stack, gain a level, and then like max your Stormbolt from that.
Yeah, I mean, it also gives you the opportunity where, I mean, we see this. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of a good way to word it. At level 1, a lot of people at like middle to higher tier playing skill, you don't level up your abilities until you absolutely need to at level 1. Like
Yeah.
you hold it, if I'm playing, I don't know, certain heroes, like you do level it. It's like, all right, obviously, if I'm playing, I don't know, can't think of an example off the top of my head, but certain heroes, you really only have one option. There's one clear choice. But a lot of heroes, like Dazzle, for instance, if I'm playing Dazzle, sometimes I'm going to need Shallow Grave level 1. Other times, I'm not. And so I'm going to get Shadow Wave, or I'm going to get Poison Touch. Stuff like that can be deciding. So I think it'd almost be interesting on Sven, if you're saving those points for Cleave, then, if something goes bad, or if, it's the decision between a kill or not a kill, then you could just, throw extra points in Stormbolt just to get the kill on a core or something, which that's super situational, and that's not something to worry too much about, but it's a similar principle, right? So it's interesting. I do the Stormbolt build just because, like you said, it is secure damage, but I mean, if I am having an easy time and I'm just going to farm away for the next 45 minutes, or 45 might be a little much, but having those extra points in cleave might be nice. And yeah, Silencer, to stray from Sven, unless you have any closing, not closing.
I have a lot of thought about his item builds, but I feel like his leveling is it's pretty
linear.
Pretty intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then I'll just go over Silencer leveling, and then we can go over items. But yeah, so Silencer, he used to pre-6186. You used to almost never get his Q, except against certain matchups where you can just totally abuse somebody because they don't have spells to cast, or they desperately need mana. But nowadays his Q is completely different, and it's actually a good ability. So hooray for that! And so now you actually pick it up. So his skill builds have changed a little. I'm still in favor of maxing Last Word, which is his E, because it's just the slow gets much better as it levels. The damage is nice. Overall, it's just a very nice, consistent ability. Whereas his Q, if you max that, sometimes it's gonna be good if they have to use abilities, which will refresh your Q's duration and cause it to do more damage. But then other times they'll just tank the whole thing, and then it's nice damage, but it's not that great. And his
Yeah.
W now has gone back to being like you get one value point, and then you level Q and E, and or the first and third abilities because other people have different
Sure.
settings. Whereas before, I mean, I would just max E, then I'd max W, and then I'd just go stats, and then I wouldn't get his Q until like 22 to 25 because it was just so like garbage tier. But now, I mean, it's decent. So, like I said, I will probably go like 4-1-4-1 at level 10. Of course, you get global silence at level 6, like 95% of the time, unless like you misclick. Realistically, like global silence is just so good; it's hard not to get it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to get that skill.
Yeah, and it's
Pretty
fun.
fucking good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like in lane, you may like I've skipped it before when I've done like hardcore like carry silencers, but
Yeah.
like not. It's one of those things where like you get a little more value, sure, like out of in the immediate sense, you may get more value out of like doing more damage with arcane, arcane curse now, which is the renamed curse of the silent, but it's like if you don't have global and a situation comes up and somebody's shouting for global and you have to embarrass yourself and be like I didn't skill that, you're just like it's
Yeah.
mortifying and you want to avoid that situation. It's not worth having 10 extra damage on your Q or a little extra glaive damage. Like just get global silence at level 6.
Yeah, I feel like people try to look at ways to like kind of next level things very often, and I
Yep.
feel like that can kind of blow up in your face as per Eternal Envy during Cloud9.
Yeah.
And I feel like not leveling global silence, like it's even if you think you have such a clear view of the way the game is going to go and you're not going to need global silence for the next however long, like there is more of a chance that you actually don't know what the fuck you're talking about than one extra point in arcane curse is going to matter at all in the scheme of your game.
Yeah. I actually like you kind of bring it up where like some people unnecessarily try to next level things and they try these like crazy like next level builds is really the only way to say it. And I feel like there's a certain point in everybody's like Dota life where they discover like the idea of non-linear spell leveling
Yeah.
or non-linear item progression and stuff like that. Where like when you're learning or even when you're like experienced with a hero and you just like I'm playing Troll Warlord. I'm going to go phase, and I'm going to get a Helm of Dominator. Then I'm going to get Saint Yasha. Then I'm going to get Scotty. Like some people just have those linear progressions, or they think like I'm playing Silencer. I'm going to level, E, and I'm going to max E. I'm going to get global at 6, yada yada. And so I think people like they come to a point in their like experience where they learn like on certain heroes you don't get ult at 6, and it's just like this is a revolutionary thought. Like Venomancer, a lot of people don't get Venom ult at 6 because he can't support it because he doesn't have the stats
Yeah.
for it.
And Jakir ulti, yeah, those kind of
Yeah,
things, yeah.
and so like they're like, oh, this is so like it feels like higher skill than it is because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I have the opportunity to get the ability called his ultimate skill or her ultimate skill, but I'm declining that in favor of his like dinky Q that's actually way more value. So I think
Yeah.
then people try to apply that to other things and they're like, oh, I don't really need to have, Naga ult at
Boots
6.
on Weaver, because I'm a fucking idiot. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I want to just behead anyone who doesn't get Boots on Weaver. Like, I don't care who I'm offending right now. Get Boots on every fucking hero. That's not debatable. You don't not get Boots on a hero. Like,
Yeah.
every time your fucking W's on cooldown and you're limping your shitty bug legs around, like, I just want to fucking, like, I will murder you if I see you, if in real life. Oh my god. That's just not okay. Get Boots on Weaver. Sorry, go back to your shit.
No, that's fair. I recently like I mean, certain heroes you can get away with, like if you're 6 slotted, like some people will like drop boots for Aegis if they don't have travels yet.
Yeah.
Like I was watching a pro game and it's like you're playing Queen of Pain, and like what are you gonna drop for Aegis? Like your Refresher, your Shivas, or your Power Treads. Like you blink everywhere anyway. But I agree with you completely. Get boots on heroes in general. Just if nothing else, just for the value stats. Like honestly, it's pretty efficient stats in the grand scheme of things. Like get boots anyway. I lost my train of thought, but the idea of like non-linear item
Yeah.
progressions and skill progressions, certain heroes do it, but that is definitely not the majority of heroes. And Silencer is a good example where like there are certain things that certain heroes with really long cooldown ultimates that are not like
Like Skeleton King.
yeah, Well, yeah, Skeleton King. A lot of people hold his
The Wraith
ult.
King or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
you just like hold the point, don't level it until you like know it would be useful to use it,
yeah.
etc.
I think a good like. I mean, there's always the famous joke where it's like, "Oh, it doesn't do damage. I shouldn't get it." And like, as much as everybody makes fun of that mentality, where it's like, "Oh, why would I buy TP scroll? It doesn't do damage. It's 75 gold. I could be spending on Blades of Attack." But the idea is like Silencer, like his ults, obviously, yeah. I mean, it doesn't do damage, and people think that's like a very linear. Like, they don't want to think that upon themselves that they're thinking in that way. But some people they skip Silencer ult because they're like, hey, it doesn't do damage. Arcane Curse does. I need to do more damage with Arcane Curse, and it's just one of these things where it's just like, you never know, like when you're gonna need a global silence, and you don't want to be in that hard place where somebody's like, "Why didn't you global?" and you're like, "I didn't skill it," and then they're like, "Hey, you're off the team. Goodbye."
So do you actually value Arcane Curse over more points in W? Like I can see that maybe for a support, but
Oh,
like in some
not for core.
circumstance,
If I'm
yeah,
playing support, yeah. I've been toying around with it. I mean, again, I used to not skill it at all, and it's a weird like change of pace because I play a lot of Silencer, primarily as a support, as I said earlier, and his Q is quite good, especially if you're against spamming heroes like a
yeah,
Bristleback.
versatile,
Where
yeah,
I mean, so now the way it works is it gets refreshed if they use abilities, whereas before it would get taken off if they use abilities, but it
yeah,
does not drain mana anymore. Yeah, I think they rescaled or retooled how like the damage works. But
yeah.
either way, it's a
It's
much
all
better ability now.
now.
It's much more consistent. Whereas before, using Bristleback as the example, it would have been terrible against Bristleback because you'd put it on him, he'd hit one quill, and then it'd be gone. But now you put it on him, and he can't use quills for like 7 seconds because he doesn't want to refresh this thing. Because every time he refreshes it, or anytime anybody refreshes it, they get 4 more seconds of damage, and it gets messy quickly. Like people, I mean, it's the classic thing. Like right after a patch, certain people don't read patch notes, or they do, and it's just like in the moment they're not thinking of it, and so it's very easy to like have this dot get extended over like to the point where I don't even
It's
need to cast
dealing
it again.
like yeah,
Yeah,
it can end up dealing like I don't know, fucking
like
400
double the
damage to you
damage.
instead of like the 250 it ought to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it has very interesting applications to certain heroes that spam spells a lot. Like I was playing against an invoker, as most people, or as you're very prone to play
Yeah,
against, or as in this patch, as it appears, despite his nerfs, which are quite significant. Which you know, I'm the invoker player. I will agree they're completely fair. Alacrity Invoker was pretty dumb, and it made a lot of non-invoker players Sully, my beautiful hero, with
right.
their filthy mitts.
Fucking
And
impure pieces of shit.
yeah, well, it's just like people were good. Like people would play Alacrity Invoker, and it's like they win their lane, they have a good first 15 minutes, and then like they have to use abilities other than like Cold Snap and Alacrity, and they just like crumble under pressure, and
Yeah.
you kill them over and over, and then they go, and then they're like, oh, my team fed, they couldn't use the advantage I gave them. GG, easy mid, and then they go to their next game, and then they lose again, and so now I'm glad that that's gone because Alacrity
Right.
is now it's actually better in the mid to late game,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
slightly
just
better, yeah.
they responded to the possible overreaction from Reddit and the community at large, and they were like, "Hey, whatever, we'll nerf Alacrity." And I mean, people had already been figuring out how to beat it, but Valve was just like, "We don't want to
No,
deal with
don't
this
even
crap."
give me that shit. You don't be like
Yes,
no, okay, if someone does like 140 damage at level like 6 in the laning phase, like there's not a thing that you do. Like I was playing Dragon Knight even against the current invoker. Like I right click for 60 damage. You right click for 120. I
he right clicks for
literally
like 12 damage because you freaking breathe on him and he does nothing.
yeah, that's okay. That affects your base damage, not the fucking 1,000 you get from fucking Alacrity and the bonus you get from Exort. You still do and phase boots. You still do insane damage. Either way, you've got at least like a 40 damage advantage on like every other mid hero.
But he has
Like
no wave
that's
clear. Like you have like,
whatever.
and
Bottle
also
got
he's so
shit on.
gankable. This is not
Yeah,
like
no, he's gankable. That's for sure.
he's
But I
the
don't know,
most
man.
gankable mid. Legitimately, there's no more
He's pretty
gankable mid.
solid. He had a, like this is post nerf. He was in the laning phase with like Alacrity phase boots at level 5 with like 130 damage. It's just it's good. Like it's still good.
I mean,
I can't think it was an overreaction. I don't think there's a single mid hero that you pick over Invoker besides like maybe co-op or something before that change.
I mean, before the change, I think like it kind of revitalized a lot of Invoker players that had been like sleeping on Invoker because he was pretty bad. I mean, 6.85 he got a lot better, but he was still
Yeah,
so
well,
scaled.
at the end of 6.85, he was like kind of on the up and up, and
Yeah,
then
I'm just
it was kind of like Abaddon. Like people were starting to play him again and kind of figure it out, and then he got like buffed. I mean, Abaddon didn't get touched at all, but he was.
yeah.
I definitely it was definitely not a surprise that he became the top pick.
Yeah, this is a tangent that everybody kind of, if you've listened to previous
I
episodes,
hate him.
we're gonna bring it up, but he's such a popular hero just historically. Even when he's been bad, he's still been like top 10 in pick rate, just because he's so dynamic and interesting, and lots of players for of varying skill levels think like, oh, it's so impressive, and like I don't know. I mean, that's why I like him. It's because it's like it's so
Yeah,
complicated, but like when you have dumb builds like Alacrity, it makes a complicated hero simple, and that's really not fun. And so I'm glad they nerfed it. So now you have to actually think.
yeah,
And I still like stand behind the fact that like if you're having problems with an Invoker in lane, like literally all you have to do is gank him. Like pick Bane or Spirit Breaker or Night Stalker or literally anybody and just roam to his lane and just kill him over and over again. Like buy dust. And like his only escape causes him to move at like 30 at like 60% move speed. Like
yeah.
and now he has -2 or negative
The
2,
thing in
but
pubs is like
2 less strength.
every game you're against an invoker, no one ever has detection for him until the first time he gets away.
Yeah, don't I know it?
Yeah, and then as a core player, I feel like I don't know. At some point, like 3 patches ago, like every item build for every core hero has no room to carry like one extra item anymore.
I
It's
agree.
just
I
very
totally
sad.
agree.
I can never like I always want to have dust. The only way I can do it is if I'm playing Lone Druid where I have 12 slots and I'm like, okay, I can fit dust into like one of these. But every
Yeah.
other hero, I'm like, do you have dust? Because I can't.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I don't know. People always yelling at each other by dust. But anyway,
Yeah,
that was our Invoker talk. We'll keep it limited to that.
sure.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with it because now people will stop complaining about Invoker so much. And I have not played him recently because everybody was so up in arms, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
Um,
I
Also,
think
I've been playing with another Invoker player, so I let him play it.
I want to talk about Silencer more. I think with Silencer, like I think I like going like 1-1-1 at 3, but I think at 5 you get a second point to Glaives of Wisdom or like get that kind of early because like going from 30% to 50%, like at 30% you're doing a little bit more damage, but at 50% like no one can trade right clicks with you. Like you're going to zone anything once you got 2 points in it, and getting Arcane Curse from level 1 to 2. Or like even Arcane Curse from 2 to 3, I don't feel like is that big a bonus. It's like
That's fair.
50 more damage, and then it also goes up by like 20 mana, and I don't think you can really support Glaives of Wisdom spam and Last Word, and you're about to get Global Silence, which costs like 250 fucking mana. So I think like having Arcane Curse costs like 75 or 95 mana is like really good, but then bringing it up for like 50 more damage and 20 mana, I don't think is quite worth it.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a valuable point. I think my opinion on that is, or my opinion in general on Glaives of Wisdom is, I level this ability when I'm doing well, and I don't level when I'm not doing well.
Okay, I can
So
see it.
if I'm like getting kills and I'm gaining a lot of int, and I'm gonna have like an early set of treads, and I'm having good item progression, and I know I'm gonna be able to be more like a core, then I will level Glaives because I know like, hey, that percentage of int that I am converting into damage is directly increasing because my team is dominating and I'm getting a bunch of kills and all that. Whereas if I'm not doing very well, if I need wave clear because now Arcane Curse works as wave clear, which is awesome. Um, then I'll level Arcane Curse because it's like, hey, it's 8 minutes. I've only gotten like a kill, maybe 2 kills. I don't have a ton of extra int like that. It kind of if you're getting a lot of kills, it incentivizes Glaives, and if you're not, it incentivizes Arcane Curse. So
Yeah,
that's something to think about. I do kind of agree with you though. Like 20% additional int to damage does make a big difference, and Glaives of Wisdom does have linear scaling. 20% per level is very consistent.
yeah,
That said, I mean, Arcane Curse is also 7 damage per level. Well, 7 times 7, so 35 additional damage, right?
yeah,
Which sounds incredibly nominal when I phrase it like that. But you have to account for the penalty additions and all that. And I assume you can stack Arcane Curse because you used to be
I
able
don't
to.
know.
I don't know if you can do it without like Ags.
Yeah, I have
I
no idea
believe
about
you
that. I
can
don't see that anywhere
because
in Dota 2 wiki, but maybe you can.
yeah, I mean you used to be able to do it with Curse.
Oh no, successive cast of Arcane Curse fully stack, placing an always
Yeah,
independent debuff. Oh, that's good.
I thought so because I know you can do it with Ags, but I didn't know if you could do it independent of Ags. Because now that it extends itself, if somebody is like a bristleback and they're just spamming quills, like potentially you could get 2 curses running at the same time, 3 even. I mean, it has a 12-second cooldown at level 4, so like it has potential. Because you used to be able to with Ags Refresher, you could get 4 Curse of the Silence running on everybody, and you can still do that now theoretically, potentially even more. But yeah, so I mean, we've kind of dragged on a little because of our Invoker tangent. So we are going to soon get into the game. Do we have any closing thoughts on our combo before we actually play it, Proud?
I think the main thing that made me think about this synergy when I just kind of wanted to play Sven because I kind of like him a lot for various reasons.
Yep.
But my main thought was like, okay, so what does Sven pair with? You want like a lot of control, and a lot of kind of AoE slows and that sort of thing, just to make it so Sven has an easier time getting a grasp of everyone. So I was thinking heroes like Earthshaker would be good if Fisher didn't fuck everything up. Lion's okay. Venomancer is really good and that sort of thing. But I also thought like, Silencer is really good at zoning and gives Sven the lane and gives, there's like a decent amount of kill potential with Silencers, like consistent W's, and then Sven can, stun and give them a move speed burst from like across the map. But the real thing is like, before BKB, Sven is like really hard to engage into anything. But Global Silence is kind of sort of gives a BKB to your entire team for like 6 seconds.
Yep.
So early game you can like Global Silence and then you're not worried about any spells coming at you. So unless there's a fucking like static field or a black hole already, or even then with a black hole, but unless there's like a static field on the ground that you're walking into, the second that Global Silence goes down, Sven's got like 5 or 6 seconds of just going ham on people before he finishes BKB. So that's kind of the general idea. You give me farm, we're really scary to an offlaner, and I kill things when you press R.
Yeah, and I mean, my closing thoughts basically, I like both of these heroes because they have cool cosmetics. Although Silencer has really messed up feet, which I just learned because I've been staring at him, and
I gotta check this out.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I assume the version.
Oh
of him,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
I think his model is just too far down.
yeah,
If he like
it
jumped,
must be.
he'd probably look great. But yeah,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
his feet are like through the little pedestal that he's on here. Yeah, that's not great. My shield on Sven has been gifted to me by you, so I wanted you to know that.
Yeah, well, when you have a level 1,000 compendium, you get a lot of those things.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, and I think my final thing that I just thought of that I read today on Reddit, which is an unfortunate sentence to start off with, was somebody proposed the change that you'd be able to see like I've lost X amount of intelligence from Silencer, and someone in that thread posted that like it'd be interesting if like the flavor text that told you that like how much you lost would get like dumber relative to how much you lost. Like if you lost 30
that would be holy.
yeah, it would be like the quiet man took my smart stuff, and I just thought it was really funny to call him the quiet man. That's my I don't know, that's my long way of saying that. Yeah, the Dota librarian. Perfect. Anyway, so we're gonna get into the game, and of course you can watch that on our YouTube channel .ptv1, and one of us will be recording it, and it will be up and exciting, and hopefully a win, because I would like to hit 4,500. Being 2 points off of a MMR marker is rough, as I'm sure anybody knows. Please know we get it. We've had a lot of people throw recently in our duo queue games for this show. It's been unfortunate. We've had like, I don't want to say last few, but definitely like within the last few, there have been at least a couple games completely thrown or attempted thrown.
Maybe 2 out of 3 or 50% or something. Our last one was really good though.
Yeah,
we were the ones throwing, if anything, but we made it happen.
Yes, the one before that I feel like was the one where the Ogre Magi blocked our own camps with sentry wards.
I think that was just us playing together, but not in terms of this show.
Oh, okay. Boy, well, that happened, but we don't need to talk about that. That might have been on stream or something. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to get into the game, and thanks for listening. Hopefully you listen to the second part. It'd be weird if you didn't.
I'm going to go blink.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to the second portion, of course, of Theorycrafting Thursday. We just finished our game for better or worse, as I always say, today was one of those for worse. Of course, we were talking about prior to the cut, we were talking about how we had lost a bunch of our Theory Crafting Thursday matches recently due to just like outward trolls and like people just purposely throwing. This game was not one of those, but it was still a heavy loss, a solid 27 points that I will not see for the rest of the night. Hopefully, I'll meet them again in the next few days. But it was rough. It was a long game. It was 53 minutes, and I mean, I guess we could just get right into it, right, Proud?
Yeah, I'm not super sure how to parse that one.
It was
Just
miserable.
been kind of sitting here. We
our lane went really well. We never really killed anything. And I feel like that was kind of like the theme of the match, is not ever really being able to kill anything.
Yeah, except Skywrath. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll just go over the comps. So the opposing team had a Zeus mid. They ran Abaddon and Slaughdar in their off lane, and then they ran Rubik PA bottom. We ran Silencer Sven in the top lane, Skywrath Mage in mid. This guy playing Skywrath only plays Skywrath too, apparently. So that's an interesting dynamic that we have spoken on many a time. And then we had a Faceless Void off lane and a Vengeful Spirit that was mostly in the off lane, but also roamed a bit. And
I don't know if anything happened from the Venge's roaming.
no, it really didn't. The Venge was pretty much a non-factor, other than the fact that the enemy team got a bunch of kills off of that person.
yeah.
Faceless Void, similarly non-factor. He had like a chrono or two that worked out. Most of them were just garbage. He did no damage. He had no farm. It was less than ideal.
Whatever
His
happened
build
is
sucked.
Venge was never really in our lane, and Faceless like came out of his lane at like level 9, like 11 minutes in, which is like good. But then he had like brown boots and a Bassi that was turned off, and like that was like 10 minutes of farm, and it was, I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened. Like our lane went well. Skywrath did great, and he shit on everyone, which is fantastic.
As
which
you
you kind of,
do.
I mean, you need to, like, if you're running Skywrath mid, you don't have the luxury of not destroying the early game. So yeah, I'm not super sure how to parse it. What ended up happening was, like, so they had Rubik and Abaddon, and not just did they have Rubik and Abaddon, but they had Rubik with a Glimmer Cape and an Aether Lens, and Abaddon with an Aether Lens and an Ags. So anytime we would like go on anyone, like there were numerous times where I'd like get onto Rubik and like ulti and stun him and get 2 auto attacks off, and then he would just be like invisible and shielded, and then I would be sitting there with like a fucking Slardar blinking on me, like bashing me through BKB and shit, and it was just so hard to get any uptime on anyone, and our team didn't like have a great deal of damage outside of me and Skywrath. So like Skywrath would blow his combo and like blow someone up real quick, and I would jam on someone, they get fucking Glimmer Caped, and that would be our whole team fight.
Yeah, Glimmer Cape is still such a good item. It's so
It's strong.
the fact that you can make other people invisible for like not even 2,000 gold is obscene. Well, I mean it's a little more than 2,000 gold,
it's
but
strong.
it's very strong, and it
So
was
you
just like a boring, rough
felt the
game.
full effects, yeah, of Sven just like being able to be kited, so that was kind of sad. Maybe the thing with Silencer is like, yeah, the global silence can, make it so they can't really get away from me very easily, but they can still use items when they're global. So it would just be like you would global silence and then someone would get Glimmer Caped, and it'd be very sad.
Yep. Like somebody would get Glimmer Cape, somebody would get Lotus Orb, somebody else would Yules. Like they just had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the Yules too. Yeah, there was just there was a lot of things that made it so we couldn't touch anyone, and then we had like fairly immobile heroes, and they had a PA, so it was like we couldn't get away from their blinks and shit. And Zeus has range from global, and they have fucking like avoidance, and we don't have mobility. So it was kind of, I was kind of unfortunate, I would say.
Yeah, it was unfortunate is definitely the term. And I think the other big thing that comes to mind is like with PA, like you pretty much have to get an MKB once she has BKB, because before
Sure.
BKB we would just kill her with Skywrath. That's easy.
Yeah.
But once she has BKB, then you're forced to get an MKB, and then Faceless Void, who had like absolute garbage items, was also forced to get an MKB to attempt to do damage.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we didn't have the economy to successfully support like being able to quickly just be like, all right, I need an MKB, I'll buy one.
Yeah.
So
if
like
you're ahead on
it was
innovation
really
hero,
struggling.
that's really like that's where it comes in. Like if you have evasion and you're ahead, then like not only do they have to make like the inefficient damage decision of going MKB, but they're doing it while like there's a long period of time where they're not going to have the amount of money to just like snap up buy an MKB.
Exactly. Like you were trying to farm an MKB and Faceless was trying to farm an MKB, and like 75% of the time that like was the target item, we didn't have control of our jungle. We had lost a land of racks, so you're getting less money from creeps.
And it also meant like I didn't have the luxury of saving for a buyback because there's no way 2 of my lives would matter if I couldn't hit the PA. So I had to buy out completely, get the MKB, and then fucking like die to 2 crits and be like, well, okay, we tried.
Yeah, and like I had to go Ghost Scepter because I would just get critted down, but then like you go Ghost Scepter to avoid the PA, but then they have a Zeus, so it's like a trade-off, and all around it was just like one of those games where like you see the loss coming from like 25-30 minutes because you're like, I don't know, I was like, when I saw Faceless had no items, I was just like, we freaking lost. I was like, it's whatever it was, like 15 minutes, and I click over to Faceless, and like you says, he has brown boots and a Bassi, and I was just like, this, like that lane went so poorly. I actually have no clue how that happened. And then like the game just goes downhill gradually, but like our uphill was pretty good. Like our uphill defense was good, but like we couldn't actually kill them when they went uphill. They would just like blink out or do whatever, or Glimmer Cape, etc. Abaddon posed, I would honestly say like the Abaddon posed the most problems to us. Like obviously PA it meant damage, but like we couldn't do anything to stop their team from doing damage because of Abaddon.
Yeah, there was no like there was no, you couldn't stop the Abaddon because if we went on the Abaddon, the Rubik saves him with like Glimmer Cape or Abaddon. He put R happens on it, and that doesn't really matter. Like Zeus can like Yule's long enough for Abaddon or Rubik to get in the area, or they can save PA long enough for her to like blink out. We actually got, I mean, they kind of threw like they would overextend a lot, and we'd like fucking have Skywrath like blink Scythe, and I'd like blink stun, and we burst someone down. Like they were like feeding us kills and stuff, but it was just like whenever the 5v5 happened, there was very little we could say about it besides hit your buyback button, so maybe we can hold this time.
Yeah, it's just one of those games. I don't know. Like I feel like that says enough. Like that says a lot in and of itself. Like you just have those games where you're just like, this is one of those times where like Dota is not like fun, and I don't know. Especially when you're playing a support and you get one-shotted by a crit from a PA.
Yeah, that I can see. Well, at least you were 1-9 instead of 0-14, like Venge.
Yeah, I made a total of 12 intelligence. It was pretty sweet. Nice. I got pretty smart, and I did not get a single point of intelligence until like 20-something minutes.
Yeah.
Like if that, because like our laning phase, like I mean we didn't say it explicitly, but it's kind of implied like this was not a kill lane per se, but we were a consistent lane, and we did pretty well in the laning phase. And you had great CS, and so our lane was going pretty well, but like we definitely had no kill potential because of Abaddon. Like Abaddon would just shield. Like all right, so it was Abaddon Slardar. So, like, let's say I last word, or you Stormbolt the Abaddon, or we do both. I mean, excuse me, we do that to the Slardar. Then Abaddon just shields the Slardar. If we do it to the Abaddon, then he, like, if he doesn't die within that period of time, then he just shields and runs away. And once he hit level 6, it was just like, all right, we just can do nothing. And I mean, I'm not one to gripe about Abaddon because I love that hero. And I've been a believer in Abaddon for a really long time, even before he was getting picked up by offlaners and such. But it was definitely like, this was one of those games that really showcased the strengths of Abaddon. Like, we would catch somebody out, and he would just be like, hey, I have an Aether Lens, and this guy's shielded, so he's no longer silenced. So now like PA is just gonna blink away from the Skywrath ult or whatever. And it was just rough. Like
any like even engagement when you have an Abaddon is kind of like you can always get out of it. So we didn't really have a good way to force anything. I'm just kind of like looking at the way it went. And it was just kind of like the PA lane. She had 70 last hits at 10 minutes. Our lane, I had about like 10 more than Slardar did at 10. So it was like we were battling up against a strong dual lane, and we won a little bit. And then Void was against a free farming PA, so we didn't really get the trade off for like their dual laning. That means that like their safe lane is kind of hampered. It was like the best that the safe lane could have done against like our safe lane kind of fucked up. So that's just kind of how it goes when that's your situation, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I was to, like, I mean, just reflecting on this game in general, I'm just, like, so disappointed. And also, other games of 6.86 I've played that have included Faceless Voids, I'm so thoroughly underwhelmed by this hero and the rework. Like, I love Faceless Void, too. Most people hate that hero. I know you don't like him.
Yeah, with good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I respect your reasoning. It's fair. I just I like the hero a lot, and the hero is utter I shouldn't say utter garbage because I haven't tried the Waga build yet, but apparently that build's pretty good. But overall, I just find this new hero or not new hero, but the reworked
Yeah.
hero so lackluster, and at best he just doesn't at best he just lives a little longer, but now he doesn't do as much damage. And it's just you can't initiate from far away.
Do you still play him as an offlaner? Like, I just can't, because the way I think of every team is like every team composition needs like a body of damage, and like when I say that, I mean something that like a Sand King or a Queen of Pain or a Gyrocopter are all heroes in different positions that can bring like a nice body of damage, or like team fight. Like every team has some role to fill. Yeah. And like there are some heroes like Silencer and Faceless Void and Bounty Hunter that do nothing to fill any role, and you can only have so many of those on a team. And with Faceless Void, the old Faceless Void used to be able to carry like with kind of limited farm and bring a lot of team fight. But now that's pretty much like eviscerated. So I don't know like what hole in your team he fills, and if it's true he doesn't fill any hole like a Silencer does, then I just can't I can't think of him as a good offlaner, because there are so many other good important heroes that don't really like do a lot for your team composition, but are just good in general. And I don't feel like he's good for your composition, or is he good in general?
Yeah, I basically agree. I think my big major problem with him is a problem we have with a lot of different heroes, is that he requires so much money put into him and invested before you get anything out, right?
Yeah.
So you can hit a 5-man chrono all you want, but if it's 50 minutes and all you have is Ags and an MKB and a Vlad's, who cares? Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, this is it seems overly simplified, but my reaction to a lot of patch notes and a lot of different heroes and a lot of different abilities and a lot of different items is just an audible who cares. Like Faceless Void ult 2, he doesn't do damage. You just wait 5 seconds, you take a drink, you put your drink down, and then you just run away from him, or you just kill him. And
I feel like
it was so lackluster. Even the good Cronus he had, he did literally nothing.
Yeah, I mean, if you just play him as a safe laner again, I don't know. I feel like
I mean that's how I like to play him.
It's since he lost his W being a 1-point wonder for taking no damage, and his Q got its range reduced. I don't know how you look at these things and be like, all right, he's still an offlaner. It seems like his carry got buffed, and his offlane just got fucking eviscerated. And I feel like the hero has always been intended to be a carry. Ice Frog is going to make changes to put him more in the carry direction than in the offlane direction.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what you should do now. I think that offlaning him is just kind of a relic of something that was viable for a patch and a half.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I used to offlane him every once in a while, because it was, like you said, pretty good at one point, but I definitely have always preferred him as a safe lane. But even as a safe laner now, I feel like his itemization has changed because of the nerf to...
Well, sure.
Or, I mean, I shouldn't say nerf, the rework to his time walk, which, I mean, I would consider a nerf, honestly. It has a lot of potential in certain instances to negate damage, but the whole idea of Faceless is you surprise them, you jump in, you chrono, and then you're not taking damage because you chronoed theoretically 5 people, or at least in reality at least 3.
Yeah, or you have enough farm to be tanky enough that you can live through the burst to time walk the damage away.
And he has so many mana problems, and the hero is just a mess. And time dilation is a really weird ability that it's pretty good, honestly, but at the same time it's really I don't know. Overall,
I think it's cool as a counter initiator. I think if you play him as a carry, he doesn't need to be the initiator, so you can play him as a counter initiator. So you time walk in, you chrono. A lot of the people in the chronos, if you're counter initiating, that's implying that someone just initiated. Ergo, they use their fucking spells. So you time dilation, they have a bunch of spells locked out, and then you have a shit ton of attack speed, and you fuck on nerds that. I think I just feel like that's the way you play him. You don't offlane him. I feel like people started offlaning him in pubs because they were like, oh, I need to play off lane. I can play a carry too, and now they just like decide to pick Faceless Void in the off lane because they want to play a carry, but someone else picked a carry, and just like that thought process has just never gone away.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Faceless is like I think the hero's fundamentally different as like a carry. So like now we really have to do like a stats build where, um, I mean the builds I've been reading about that have had success, other than the Waga build, which I'll talk about, is people just go like stats, kind of like old Troll or old Sniper,
Yeah.
where like you just go like Tread
S and Y and
Tequila,
shit.
S&Y Scotty, that kind of stuff, and basically you just like can stay in fights for so long because between your Q, being able to revert damage, so like if you take a burst like a PA crit or a Laguna, you could just revert that.
Yeah.
But overall, like he just stays in fights so long, and he's just such a menace, which is pretty fair. And again, like I have not actually played the hero yet this patch, so these are all kind of conjecture. And I've watched numerous games of the hero. But the other build that's gaining popularity in the last couple days is the Wagamama build. Wagamama, of course, being caster, player, streamer extraordinaire. His build is basically Spectre, and what he does is he goes Vanguard, which Vanguard got some pretty significant buffs, and then he goes Treads, Aki, and then Radiance. And basically, like he's just such a menace, and he's so hard to kill, and you just Radiance burn people down. And obviously, this build requires you to be a very efficient farmer, because you have to have a decently timed Radiance paired with a decently timed Vanguard and all that. But apparently, the build has been super successful for him and numerous other people. So maybe like the hero is just fundamentally different, and you have to completely change the way you think of him.
I'm actually really digging the idea of Vanguard because like the something that people don't think about a lot with Vanguard is it kind of segregates the damage that you take. Like creep damage is non-existent. So like just think of it in two piles, like heavy damage and light damage. So with Vanguard, the light damage gets pushed all the way to the light damage side of the spectrum, and then the heavy damage that you take is like on the like the amount of the number value of the health that you lose from things is like light damage is all the way on one side, and then heavy damage is like still kind of the same amount of damage, but it's further. They're more divorced. So you have like creep damage and like support auto attacks are doing like almost nothing, and then like magic damage, nukes, and big right clicks are a lot bigger. So like the fact that your damage is segregated in that way means that you have like a more obvious concentration of damage that you want to eliminate with your time walk backtrack of the 2-second damage reduction. So like it doesn't matter if you take damage from like creeps and supports for 4 seconds if you can just backtrack like the one nuke that you took.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this year, like, I need to just play around with him, and I will report back, I'm sure. Maybe eventually we'll do
I'm
a
interested
faceless
in
lane.
this. I want to think about this sometime.
Anyway, that's Faceless Void, which is that's.
Yeah, we'll do a faceless lane at some point, because, I mean, we've said this before on the show, but we are trying to get through all the heroes before we do repetition, for the sake of, it's more fun to do all the heroes than every week is like, oh, we picked Dazzle again, or, oh, we picked, so-and-so.
Turns out, dual offlaning with a Lich worked again.
Yeah, basically. This is not the MMR farming show, although I think I may have to start up an MMR farming podcast for the sake of my MMR, but that is a whole nother point entirely. I mean, alright, so I feel like we should tie this all back to Silencer Sven in like a few sentences of reflection. I mean, from the Silencer point of view, I still think this lane is okay. I mean, you definitely secure farm for the Sven in an ideal world. Like, you could kill numerous offlaners, maybe not all of them, but some of the less tanky offlaners. Or if there's like an offlane duo lane that's aggressive, you could kill probably a hero. And at the very least, you're gonna secure Sven's farm very well. But this game overall, like, we just got screwed because I mean, I shouldn't say we got screwed because that makes it sound like, I don't know. I mean, I think we really suffered because the enemy team had a lot of net worth early on, and our offlane did nothing, and their offlane did a ton of stuff. I think that's really the focus. Where I think our safe lane was comparably strong at a certain point in the game to their safe lane, but then their offlane catapulted. Whereas their Abaddon was doing crazy work in the mid lane, and then their Slaughter got a decently timed blink dagger around 12 minutes or so, Whereas our off lane is like a faceless that had like terrible items, and Avenge that roamed and did nothing and just died a lot. And so I think that's really what it came down to. This lane, I'm still pretty confident in this lane. I picked a lot worse lanes with Silencer and still did very well. So that team has potential if you're looking to win some games. It's maybe not like, we've ran a lot of lanes before, right, that are just like kill lanes. It's like, we ran off the top, like when we ran Lone Druid Shadow Shaman, like that's a lane where like I get a shackle and like we have relatively secure kill potential.
Yeah.
This lane or like a Bad and Bristle, which is one of the first.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's certainly true in the context of if you're like, killing one person. But like, if you're against an Abaddon, you get a shackle, they get shielded, and then Abaddon.
A Abaddon kind of ruins everything.
Yeah. So I wouldn't even say that this isn't necessarily a kill lane because I think it definitely could be. It's just no lane up against an Abaddon.
Yeah. It's less.
Not only I think the lane had kill potential, but it also like. Even if it wasn't going to get kills, it guaranteed farm and it could battle up against the dual lane perfectly. So like I feel like the lane was honestly like really good. And if it was a tri lane, I think we would have killed their tri lane or their dual lane. So I think the lane went well.
Okay. I mean, I basically agree with you. I just we run other lanes that are more like, I don't want to say gimmicky, but they're more like very clear, like this is a kill lane because X, Y, and Z.
Like
whereas this
answer that kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah, except we lost with that. But this is
that I haven't played.
I didn't actually. That was Mista and Wazoo that played that. So the tryhards lost with it. But anyway, I mean, I like this lane overall. I think it's fine. It's not like a crazy overpowered lane like Coddle PL or something where it's just like this is just the most cancerous thing in the world. It's just like this is just a consistent like decent lane. It gives you two heroes that are both going to get a decent farm.
And if you don't have something that disrupts the global silence, I think they have pretty good synergy in like the mid game.
Yeah,
but if you do, then maybe not.
I mean, this is something I don't want to drag on about it, but like a lot of times in combo lanes, whether it's a tri lane or a dual lane, one of the big points of success is like the core rotates into the jungle and the support takes over the lane, and then they get items. So that was something that we did, which like I was super behind during our laning phase because like I couldn't do anything against a Bad and Slardar. Like you can't really zone them with glaives because they just run at you and punch you, and they both had stout shields. But eventually like you went to go take stacks and kill the jungle camps with cleave and all that. So then I had the lane, and then I recovered, and I had a decently timed force and all that. So that's something that is definitely a strength of the lane. So yeah, I mean, overall I would run it again. Even though this game did not go super well, I would not blame it on the lane, that's for sure. Alright, well, I suppose that's about it for our...
Yeah, it sounds like a fine thing to close on.
Yeah, well, this is one of the more cut and dry things. It honestly was one of the most, like I wanted to fall asleep in the middle of that game, because it was just, like, nobody killed anybody for, like, 5 minutes, except, like, Skywrath would pick off some random support. Like, alright, who cares? Anyway, I'll do our plugs. Of course, you can follow us. I'm at Ursinity. He is at Proud Dota. And you can listen to us talk about Mafia. Actually, Mafia Land's going to end by the time this video, by the time this podcast airs. But all the VODs will be up. And if you want to talk about Mafia, tweet at me/us. On that note, you can also follow the overall .p account, .p_show, and all the other hosts, I'm sure, on all the other podcasts. You can find us on Reddit at r/defense of the patients. Of course, that's defense and patients with a C, not a TS. Where else? You can email us, defenseofthepatients@gmail.com. You can find the VOD for today's game on .ptv1. What other plugs are there that I'm missing? I'm sure there are many, but that's less important. I mean, we're just gonna close it out, right? I mean, I'm pretty...
Shout out to Shindigs of General Esports Variety for getting engaged just now. It's dope shit.
Yep. Shout out to Shindigs. That's definitely the motto. All right. Well, maybe I have...
That's a guy. That's his handle. Not just Shindigs. It's like parties. But, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not even going to address that. I'm so lost right now.
Don't worry about it. We're all set.
I have spoken with various people in various places about possibly doing a .p Mafia, like Skype. Like, you can do Mafia through Skype. I've seen it done before. So there's a possibility that will exist at some point in the future. But, of course, I'm saying this on a recorded thing, so I can't ever take it back. But don't quote me on that one. But in an ideal world, that will happen. But I mean, we'll see. But keep a lookout. Mafia is fun. Silencer is fun. Sven is fun. Enjoy yourselves. Remember, of course, this has been our theory. But if you lose, probably your fault or the fault of your faceless void that has Bassy brown boots at 15 minutes.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah, probably the latter, if we're being honest. But yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.